This is the weekly weather forecast video for Monday, August the 6th, 2012. Taking a look at the satellite image from last evening, it was fairly quiet at this point across the country, outside of a couple clouds along the eastern seaboard with a frontal system that brought some very severe weather across that area and a couple clouds across the south and west. Watch warning map was also fairly quiet. This was before midnight. Red flag warnings in the north and west. Some heat issues across East Texas, and elsewhere it's fairly quiet after a fairly active Sunday across the nation. QPF chart precipitation over the next 5 days through Friday evening at 7 o'clock, showing most of the heaviest rain will be across the east and southeast. Around here we could see anywhere around a half an inch, with some isolated storms that we may get later in the week. Let's take a look at the tropics. This is Tropical Storm Ernesto. This is over the western Caribbean. It's nearing the Yucatan Peninsula and Honduras at this point. The track of Ernesto looks to be into the western Caribbean and into Belize or the southern Yucatan, and then into possibly the Bay of Campeche later in the week. And the intensity looks to remain a tropical storm, maybe a minimal hurricane at most. We'll have to see if any moisture comes out of this and comes in from the south and west. Out in the Atlantic, here is Tropical Storm Florence, and boy, it looks pitiful. It's a minimal tropical storm right now, and it doesn't even look minimal at that point. And if this storm does continue, this is the track. It'll be a recurving storm. Maybe Bermuda in about a week's time could be affected, but as you can see here, the intensity looks like it's going to drop off to a depression and probably dissipate before too much longer if it continues to look like that on the satellite image. So let's take a look around here at the 0Z GFS Model Run. At 1 p.m. this afternoon, the ridge is suppressed to our south and west. Broad trough over the Great Lakes and into the east, and that's keeping a lot of the storms to our south and east, and it's keeping the heat to our south and west. So temperatures today, 80s to maybe a few low 90s, maybe some mid 90s in the far western counties of the state. Tuesday, a disturbance wants to bring some shower activity. There could be some activity Monday night into Tuesday, but it's very isolated and iffy at this point. We'll keep you updated. Here on Wednesday, we could have another chance of a shower storm. Better chances maybe across our northern tier and up into Minnesota and South Dakota, and this is iffy at this point also. But Thursday, you can see here back on the 500 millibar chart, this trough really starts to get enhanced by this feature coming down to the western Great Lakes. The ridge is still to our south and west, and with that could spark off some shower and thunderstorm activity around here Thursday with this disturbance coming down the western Great Lakes, so we'll have to watch that. But again, it'll be very spotty and isolated across the state. And Friday, that moves off to the east. Skies will clear and temperatures will cool off again. We could see highs back around 80 degrees again, low to possibly mid-80s south and west, maybe even upper 70s north and east. That'll continue even into Saturday. Another disturbance right along the Missouri River could bring a shower storm there, but the likelihood of that is fairly iffy at this point. And Sunday, it looks to be fairly dry across the area, and temperatures in at least the upper 70s to lower to middle 80s across the state at that point. And a week from today, on the 13th, we still have a trough over the east, and the ridge is pretty much really flattened out and over the south and west at this point, and that's going to keep the heat and the intense heat and the humidity south and west of us, and we look to see pleasant temperatures into the first, or in this case the second full week of the State Fair, which begins Thursday. A couple days later on the 17th, there's a subtropical ridge over the southeast at this point, but now we have a trough to our west, a trough axis. And with that, we could see some possible shower and thunderstorm activity, and this could be widespread at this point. And the GFS is wanting to paint a possible tropical system out in the Atlantic. Could that be Florence? We don't know. And a couple of days later, at the end of the forecast on the 21st, that tropical system of some nature is now off the eastern coast, if this is right. And we have a trough over the north and west, the subtropical ridge trying to back its way back into the plains, and we could have some shower activity around, if this is right, and a possible tropical system off the East Coast. Now it's time for the weekly weather forecast. Thank you for watching the weekly weather forecast video. We'll have our regular forecast video on Tuesday.